We've now looked at several tools that will help us set up our spreadsheet correctly before printing. But there are still a few small issues that we might need to look at. If I go one page to the right, we can no longer see which order number this data relates to. And what's worse, if I page down, we now have no headings at all, and it's very hard to understand what these values actually represent. So let's go back. So I'm going to press Ctrl Home, there, and see how can we solve this problem. You may recall we used freeze panes in one of our videos to allow us to still see the headings when we scroll through a large workbook. Well, we would like to use something similar, but for printing. Bear in mind that freeze panes won't work for printing, but we do have a tool that will. If we come back to our page layout tab and come to the page setup group, the tool we want is print tiles. I'm going to click on print tiles, and the first option it offers us is to set a print area. That's not going to solve our immediate problem, but it's interesting. So let's see what that does. I'm going to click in print area, and I'm going to come back into my workbook and just select few datas and then release and say OK. If you look closely, you'll see thin black lines now around the area that I have selected. If I go to my print preview and I'm just going to press Ctrl key, you can see, although it says print active sheets, not selection, it is only printing the print area. So this is really useful if you typically only print part of the workbook. Now, that's not really what we want here. So I'm going to go back, escape, and we're going to go into our print tiles again. I'm going to clear that print area. And if you have a little look up into ribbon, you'll see you have this print area button here that will allow you to do the same thing. Now, what we actually want is rows to repeat at top. Now, to set those, we're going to come back into our workbook. So, click on that and then go again to our workbook and click on the rows that you want to repeat for your printing. And there you go. You can repeat rows or columns or both. We would like to also repeat our first column, so I'm going to click on the columns to repeat at the left and then click on row ID, or both row ID and the order number. And then now there are some other options that you should quickly look at. You can choose to print grid lines. You can also go for a black and white if you have a color printer. You can go for draft quality, which basically saves ink, particularly if you're printing a large workbook. Row and column headings, perhaps not what you think. That's the ABC and 1, 2, 3 column headers, which we don't typically print. We haven't looked at comments yet, but keep in the back of your mind when we do that you can choose to print them. Cell errors, we're hoping we won't have any, but if we do, we can choose to print it as blank, dash, or this one, NE. Finally, you can choose your page order. By default, Excel goes down, then across. But if I want my page to the right to be page 2, I can choose over, then down. Now I'm going to press OK. And when I come back into my workbook, it doesn't look much different, but when we click on the print preview or press Ctrl P, you'll see that when I scroll down, my headings are here at the top. We have our scale to fit here, so we don't have any problem with the rows and the order ID because we used that in our previous video. So that was the print titles. Get in there and have a play with it.